Oh, so fabulous.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel once again. It's your girl Dumebi. If this is your first time coming across my channel, you're welcome to the channel. I do hope you decide to subscribe, and if you are a returning subscriber, you guys know that I love you. It's so good to have you here once again. Welcome back. So as usual, this is very vital now. My disclaimer: please, this video is strictly for educational purposes. Do not go searching out anybody that I talk about in this video. Don't send them any form of hate comment, threat, or violence. This channel does not support any of that. So this happened, I think, about 2 months ago or thereabouts. You guys, from the title, from the title, you guys already have an idea what this video is about. And I never thought a day would come where I'll be discussing this kind of very absurd. It's just weird that I'm discussing this on the channel, but it has to be addressed, okay? So apparently there's this podcast that's been handled by, I think, Asian Americans, because they speak in English. So obviously their target is people that can speak English, but they're Asian people. And something very interesting was said. I do not know what it is they were discussing about before then, but one of the people on the podcast, a woman, actually said something about Black women. Let's just go ahead and play the video.
I'm gonna say something kind of wild, but it's because I saw it somewhere. But I don't know if we might have to cut it out. But anyways, someone said that.
Did you guys see the disclaimer before that? Let's just continue.
The reason why some girls tighter than others is because, huh? No. It has nothing to do with that. They said that it's because, like, ethnicity wise, like Black men have, are known to have larger. So therefore, the women have
that makes sense.
Bigger. And then
that doesn't make sense.
The first time I watched that clip, my jaw dropped because they took it somewhere I never expected. I particularly have never heard that kind of stereotype about Black women before, about us. That was my first time. The one about Black men, I've heard that a lot, and I know that's why a lot of non-Black women fetishize our men and want to be with Black men simply because that's what they believe that our men are. But I've never heard those stereotypes about Black women before. That was my first time. And if you guys observe, she gave a whole disclaimer before saying it, and she even said you guys might have to cut this part out because she knew that it was going to be offensive. A part of her knew that she wasn't supposed to have said that. And then she's not the only culprit here, because someone in the audience there said, oh, makes sense. There were some oohs and ahs, like people were basically engaging with what she said. Some were agreeing, some were in awe, some were laughing and giggling. So in my opinion, she said it, but they were all part of it. They were all part of that nasty, unnecessary comment that is harmful to Black women. Because how do you want to generalize a whole race of women and say they all have loose VJs? Anyways, so just as you probably can guess, there was a lot of outrage. Black women everywhere in the diaspora talked about this. People were chiming in. And of course, nobody was happy about that. And you know what? Let's just play some of the reactions from Black people.
The problem with people who think and believe like Esther on the Under the Influence podcast is that they don't think that people care enough about Black women to call them out when they say things that are discriminatory and problematic. She thought that joke was appropriate because she didn't think anybody would care about us, because people are allowed to slander us and to talk about our body parts as if we are less than human. As a matter of fact, she thought that because no one cares about Black women globally, her joke would have been deemed as funny to the majority of the people who consume their content, including Black men. In that apology video, one of the things that was stated was, we have too many people that watch us. We should be more cautious about what we say. You didn't know that? You ain't know that? You ain't know that? The problem is not that you should be more cautious. The problem is, we've even expanded into people who would care about certain things like that. We're not just talking to the type of people that are okay with bigotry. My bad. Our videos have gone to a place where people might actually care about these things. It wasn't that you said it at all. It was you underestimated your reach. You thought everybody who was following you and monitoring your content thought just like you. You were banking on misogyny and hypermasculinity to back you up.
And anti-blackness, need I say, anti-black women.
I don't care that she made a joke that also harmed her own racial group. The problem is that we were the brunt of that joke. You wanted it to be known that there was something problematic about us. You knew they would forgive you, and you also were banking on the fact that you're a part of that racial group so people wouldn't call you out on it. The joke was meant specifically to harm black women, and that is why there is no way, no reason, and no probable cause for us to accept your whack apology. Y'all just want to be able to go back to business as usual. And honestly, I'm inclined to allow you. Why? Because the fact of the matter is, platforms like this exist for a very specific target demographic. Y'all don't care to do better. You just want to keep getting your checks, your views, and your laughs.
What this whole situation with Under the Influence and what was said about black women's private parts really reminds me of is a time in secondary school where I was put under a line of questioning by a guy who was asking me, so what color is it? And his whole reasoning for asking me was because he had watched Corn and he was just like, well, I've realized that it's kind of giving like two shades and I just wanted to ask you, what color is it? Because I can't decide, and I think I've decided for myself that I'm just not attracted to it because it just looks disgusting in comparison to, you know, other races. Black bodies, specifically black women bodies, will always be the point of use, abuse, curiosity, interest, research, and comparison within the wider world. So alongside the rightful critiques of calling Esther a pick-me and everything in general to do with Under the Influence, I am also just not surprised that in order to validate her sexual appeal and, you know, her positioning as a woman, she put black women down in order to do so, specifically black women bodies.
You know, this kind of reminds me of the whole Sarah Batman situation. If you don't know Sarah Batman, a South African woman in history that I think was taken to, I don't know if it was Europe or if it was the Americas, and she was put on display because she had a very full figures, rounded waist, booty, everything. Beautiful, in my opinion. And I think they just couldn't fathom that a person could look like that a person's body could look like that they dehumanized this woman and put her on display like an animal in the zoo. You know? So that is what this is giving. Like, what is it about black women? It just shocks me. I'm wondering how many more stereotypes about us that are out there that we don't even know about. This is my first time hearing this. How many more things do they say within themselves? You know, those circles where they feel it is okay to talk down on black people or black women, you know, that bigotry is okay. How many jokes, how many stereotypes do they discuss within themselves that we don't even know about? Who knows what else they say? And it is one thing for you to hear that and believe it, because I mean, scientifically it doesn't even make sense. But if these are the same people that of the school of thought that black people are not human beings, black people are apes, or black people are 3/4 of a human being or 3/5 of a human being, it's not far-fetched that they can think something like this, because scientifically it does not make sense. It just does. I don't know. It's crazy. So it is one level of crazy and ignorant to hear that and believe it without challenging it, without thinking with your, you know, whatever it is you have upstairs there, and realizing that it can be true. And it's another level of even stupidity for you to come on a podcast knowing the reach. You cannot tell me you don't know the reach you have. You can't tell me that you don't know that this thing could get out there to the target audience that you do not want it to reach, which is black people. You cannot tell me that you have no idea that this thing could, you know, hit the ears of people you're talking down on and be offensive to them. So it is one thing to hear it and believe it, and it's another thing to come to a podcast with that kind of reach and repeat the same thing as if you don't know. I don't know. Are you trying to be a pick-me? Are you trying to say, okay, this is us advertising, black women's own is big, so if you want it tighter, look over here? Like, what exactly was the aim? So people are saying she's a pick-me, and I see why they are saying that.
I don't remember where I was specifically, but when I was little, somewhere in the US, I was around 8 or 9 years old, I was in an adult conversation that I shouldn't have been in. It's not like these grown-ups were talking to me, but I was in the vicinity and I could hear basically what they were saying. And I remember at the time it was a group of black men talking to each other. And this was not a kid-friendly area. They were talking about women in the most naughty way and all the ways that you could think they were. And then they started talking about specifically women genitalia. And at some point, I remember one of them saying, hey, haha, Asian women have sideways genitalia. Yeah, this is where we're going. And at the time, again, I was a kid and I should not have been been around to hear that, but at the time I still had a general understanding of women genitalia. I'm Haitian, so in my culture, like, women tend to be naked around other women all the time. Like, if my mom's taking a shower, she would be naked, I would see her body. If my aunt's taking a shower, she would be naked, I would see her body. It's not something that's rare for us, most of us at least. And with the brain of a little girl, even with that little understanding of the human body, I had a general understanding that even though these things might vary in like size and color, they're still kind of laid out the same. And so I thought that was kind of silly. At the time, I was too young to understand that it was a racist, a sexist comment made by that man. And you know, I forgot about it. Years later, I would be in college listening to 3-6 Mafia, Half on a Sack, you know, the one that you guys liked. There's a part of the song that basically says that same sexist and racist stereotype against Asian women. And I must say again, it is racist and sexist. But not only that, it's ridiculously stupid. It's one of the most dumbest and ignorant things I've ever heard in my life, and I still stand by that. So, you know, now that I'm 25 years old, I would not go to a podcast and talk about Asian women's genitalia in the first place. And even if I find myself in a conversation with a man or a woman who said that, I would probably deter from engaging in conversations that are sexist and racist towards Asian women, especially with the layer of humiliation that comes with what is being said. Not only are you speaking about somebody's private area, somebody's intimate area, because you shouldn't in the first place, but you're also feeding misogynoir, specifically misogynoir, because one of the best ways to dehumanize women and make them feel less than for men and other women to do is to talk about their body, especially that area. And call me sensitive if you want to, but I think it's extremely dehumanizing to talk about a group of people like that.
There were some black people that took it all the way to the other side, okay? They were clapping back and they were being brutal about it, just like these people.
Black women have naturally deep, wide-set vaginas because black men have big dicks. Now, if I get on here and say I know for a fact hers is built like a dead squid limb, smells like a gallon of garbage juice, 2 bottles of expired buttermilk ranch from the farmer's market, and a dead Bichon Frise, I'm going to be a bitch, right? It's okay to get on the internet and say crazy shit, but when you are saying crazy shit for the validation of men, if you think that you have to be a dead brain dizzy bitch to get some dick, my sister, you are trying too hard. They will tree. Next time, just try shutting the
like black men have, you know, don't have larger, so therefore the women have bigger holes.
Bitch, if you can't just say that. If you can't just say that, okay? Because that's what this gives. It gives that you have a whack ass pussy, okay?
Black women, leave the Kung Fu Pandas alone. By Kung Fu Pandas, I'm referring to Meng Ling and her breed, okay? On the Under the Influence podcast. In fact, I agree with them. Because last time I checked, or as far as anyone can see, no pun intended, everything is small about them. Their eyes, they literally come in miniature sizes. Their whole appearance is small. So obviously, their unfortunate cookies, or unfortunate cookies, are going to have to fit the rest of their miniature lifestyle and their miniature bodies, okay? I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like puberty crosses the road each time it sees Asian people, you know, walking in its direction. Kind of like how white women cross the road when they see a black man walking towards them, unless he's an NFL player. Yeah.
Okay, now, I don't know about fighting fire with fire, but how much longer are we expected to always be the bigger person? You know, why is it that when they want to make fun of a certain race or say something very bigoted, it is always black people, specifically black women? Why is everybody so comfortable? You know, we've tried the approach of just ignoring them. We've tried the approach of taking the moral high ground. We've tried the approach of, oh, don't even reply because you're giving them a platform, you're making them go viral, they're making money off of your reactions and stuff like that. We've tried all of that. But at some point, somebody is going to have to stoop to their level and tell them what it is that they need to hear, okay? So those women did it, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I condone what they said, but I don't blame them for reacting the way that they do, because maybe if you know you're going to get a taste of your medicine, you'll be more careful about what it is that you say. So there was a whole apology, but before I play the apology, I have to actually commend the people in their community that were calling them out, the Asian Americans that made videos like these ones.
I watched Esther's new ChatGPT apology video, so you don't have to. My main issue with her calling Ballinger apology tour is the fact that she doesn't seem to understand what she's even apologizing for. She doesn't do the extra work to understand how we got here in the first place. Like, yes, you never should have brought up black women's bodies in this false, really dehumanizing way that you did. But why did you? And she keeps saying, oh, my intent wasn't to harm, but I understand the impact was harmful. But I called BS on that. Your intent was in fact one of harm when you were so willing to bring up Black women in a very derogatory manner just to make them the brunt of your joke. And I need Esther to dig deeper to question why she was able to engage with such anti-Black, dangerous rhetoric in the first place without second thought. I need her to understand that there is something fundamentally wrong about her current belief systems that allowed her to get into this mess in the first place. And that goes for all of the members of that stupid Under the Influence podcast. And I'm all for Esther to grow and learn, but do it off the internet. We don't need you here.
The reason why a sorry is not enough is because what you said has showed your inherent values, morals, and your perception of Black women, which is very dehumanizing, by the way. I mean, it's pretty clear that Esther is really not the brightest, but if I were her, I would ask myself, why did I have these thoughts? Why did I make these racist statements? What can I do to combat that? What can I do to be a better example? What can I do to become an ally for the Black community? And what can I do to undo my mistakes? Because I don't know. I don't think Esther is that smart enough to even critically think about those things.
I watched Esther's second apology video. Here's the thing. Why couldn't you do that the first time? Why couldn't you be genuine? And why couldn't you say that the first time you made an apology statement on your podcast? What's not clicking here? I'm like, genuine, like, I can't take that genuinely. That's not genuine to me if you got to come back on here and do a second apology because the first apology wasn't sincere enough and and Black women and the Black community didn't feel like it was sincere or genuine. And you got to come back a second time? Oh, all right. And to the people in her comments saying, oh, she's genuine, like it was just blown out of proportion, it's not that deep. If you are not Black and you are not a Black woman, you don't get to tell people to get over it. You don't get to tell them to get over it. And you don't get to tell them if they accept the apology or not.
I've had a few videos come up on my For You page recently talking about Esther from UTI. I couldn't remember it. And I feel like people are like, oh, I've never heard that, like, stereotype she's making up. But I feel like she's reverse psychologying the one I've heard, which I've literally been told by, like, people, like, even when I was a child, I heard this. It was like, that basically, like, they'll be like, oh, yeah, Asian men have small D's, so Asian women have small.
Funny enough, I've actually had the stereotypes about Asian men, but I don't think it's something I'm going to go to a podcast and say. Especially because I don't even know if it's true. And even if I've had any encounter with an Asian man, that doesn't mean I get to generalize, right? So,
And it's so, like, really weird and, like, definitely, like, not actually based in any scientific reality. And I feel like Esther just, like, reverse psychology this and applied it to Black women, which she has no business doing. But this is why I feel like I made a video a while back that I was talking about racial pick-me's, and people didn't really get what I was talking about. But I feel like they're really dangerous because they will use stereotypes about their race to try to make themselves look better and more appealing, while, like, enforcing the harmful aspects of those stereotypes against other people and even against their own people. And this is why I think it's really important to remember that even if a stereotype seems good on the surface, it's still not one you really want to embrace because it's often used to weaponize against other people.
This girl is very smart. I like the way she broke things down. And that's the thing. For any person of color, Asian, Indian, whatever it is you are, if you're not a white person and you decide to side with white supremacy, you have to realize that in that whole food chain, you're not at the top, you're still down. They might be using you as a model minority to kind of press on the heads of Black people, but always know that when the time comes, you will still not be picked. So she actually made 2 apologies. The first one was made on the podcast, and I think people did not receive it well.
It wasn't my view or opinion, but I understand that even bringing it up was super inappropriate and harmful. And I've heard so many of you guys, especially in the Black community and among Black women, and I'm just sorry for perpetuating a harmful stereotype, and moving forward, I will no longer bring up any topics that could be harmful to anybody. Yeah, I don't know what to say other than that. I'm really sorry.
We realize that because our audience has grown and we have a bigger platform, we have to be more careful with what we say and come more factually correct if we do want to talk about a topic.
So I don't think that apology was received well because she came back to make a second apology.
And I want to take this time to address something that has deeply affected many of you. And I want to be completely transparent. I am going to be reading from a prepared statement to ensure that I communicate my emotions, my thoughts, and apologies clearly and sincerely, and so that I don't leave anything out. On my podcast, I discussed a TikTok video that perpetuated dangerous stereotypes, and I know now that I shouldn't have ever brought up those views, even for discussion, and I want to sincerely apologize to the Black community, especially Black women. After my initial apology, I took the time to look at the responses and understand why my words may have fallen short. I aim for clarity to avoid confusion, but I could see now that it could come off as insincere or dismissive, and that was never my intention. I apologize for not providing the depth that the situation deserved, and I hope that this message can reflect my genuine remorse and my commitment to learning and growing from this. And my intention was never to spread misinformation or to hurt anyone, but I understand that by bringing up those views, that was inappropriate and harmful and hurtful to many of you guys, and for that I am truly, truly sorry. I acknowledge that I made a significant mistake, and I just want to own up to everything. In the clip, I referenced a video that spread false and offensive stereotypes, and now I know how damaging it is to give voice to these harmful ideas. I should have been more mindful and respectful of the impact that my words could have. This whole experience has been a learning process for me, and I understand that as a content creator, my responsibility is to approach these types of sensitive topics with care. I'm committed to being more aware of the impact of my words, especially when it comes to race and personal identity. I understand that this is a deep issue for many of you, and just mentioning it hurt you, and that was never my intent, but I understand that intent doesn't matter when the impact was so hurtful, and I just want to let you guys know that I never want to hurt anyone, and it genuinely makes me sick to my stomach that I hurt you, and I'm sincerely sorry for that. I also want to apologize for taking some time to address this publicly. I had to take some time off of social media to reflect on how I'm going to be better and to prevent this from ever happening again. I understand if some of you guys don't want to hear this, that's completely fair. And I also know that trust isn't easily regained after a mistake like this. I completely understand. And I also know that some of you guys may respond and say that she's only saying sorry just to say sorry. And I want to emphasize that I genuinely want to take accountability for this and that your feelings are valid. Thank you for those that have been patient with me as I learn and grow from this mistake. I take full accountability for everything, and I just want to say that I hope to be able to gain your trust back through my actions. And yeah, thank you for understanding. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening, and take care.
You guys know that's just the thing about these apologies. And one thing I've realized about Black people is when you mess up like that and do or say these bigoted things about Black people, we don't forgive. That's one thing I've noticed. The apologies are never accepted. Somebody is going to always pick apart the apology and say you didn't mean it, or why did you put it this way, whatever.
Okay, so I want Black women to be clear. That apology wasn't for you at all. That apology was for major white corporations that weren't going to mess with them after the backlash of this. That apology was for the self-proclaimed social justice warriors that are their base that would feel weird about continuing to watch them after what they said.
Yeah, I want to take this moment to sincerely apologize for a topic that I brought up.
Yeah,
it wasn't my view or opinion, but I understand that even bringing it up was super inappropriate and harmful.
Pause. So it wasn't her view or her opinion, but she brought it up just because and started giggling with it. Okay.
Up was super inappropriate and harmful, and I've heard so many of you guys, especially in the Black community and among Black women, and like, I'm just sorry for perpetuating a harmful
Rather than a harmful stereotype, it is a blatant display of racism. Like, what's not clicking? Like,
I mean, we're all Asian, and we've dealt with like pretty hateful like stereotypes as well, and I should have known better because I've been hurt by those too, you know?
I get what you're saying, but right now you're basically victimizing yourself and being like, I know too, because I'm Asian. And it's true. Of course, Asians have gone through racism, stereotyping. Like, it's very true, but like, is now the time? I feel like you're more concerned about the money that's potentially, drifting away rather than the sincerity of this apology.
Yeah, I don't know what to say other than that. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point here is that, like she said, we're all human.
Yes, of course. We are all humans, but we are not all racist. Okay, goodbye.
You can't force people to accept your apology when you did whatever it is you did and it was not a mistake. You just did it. You knew what you were doing and you did it. So I don't blame any Black person who doesn't want to accept this apology. And for people that are not Black, trying to tell Black people how to feel or how to respond to this, Y'all just mind your business. It's none of your business. You have no business trying to tell black women how to react when such a thing has been said about us, or to accept the apology on our behalf. Okay? It would just always amaze me when I hear these things, these stereotypes, how comfortable people are to come and saying these crazy things about black people just because we are the race everybody feels comfortable shitting on. And I don't know, when you have a public platform, you just have to be very careful what you say. If you said something and you feel like it could be misconstrued or it could be harmful, you have the opportunity during editing to change these things or to give, an apology. I feel like there are just many chances to avoid things like this happening. And you guys, I want to know what you think in the comment section. Have you guys ever heard that stereotype about black women's bodies before? I've never heard that. And what do you guys think about them feeling so comfortable to say that on the podcast, and also the apology? Do you think black women are supposed to accept the apology? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.